Right, so this is Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. So let's get it underway. And time. So. And we're off. Alright. First things first. This game came out in November last year. It's been pretty competitive since it first came out. The first couple of months was really active. To start off with, times were sitting around the 4 hour mark. And since release, it's come down to just over 3 hours. I believe the record now is a 3:04. Since release, there's been multiple people who've held the record. I think we're in just about double digits for record holders now. So, start of the game's pretty basic, same as most of your Pokemon games. Name everyone, get your starter. In terms of more recent Pokemon games, starter resets in this game aren't too bad. If some of you know about Pokemon speedrunning, a lot of time can be spent resetting for good stats on your starter. One of the good things about this game is whether it's Pikachu or Eevee, the starter always comes with perfect stats. So it really have to reset over the game. Fast text, cutscenes switching on, which we'll use a couple of times. Don't really get a lot of use at it because there's only really 5 cutscenes that are actually skippable, but we'll save a bit of time. So one of the, I guess, things that makes this run different to other Pokemon speedruns is there's a catch requirement in this run. So each of the gyms game have a different requirement to enter. The first gym being either having a water Pokemon or a grass Pokemon. Funnily enough, you can't even get a water Pokemon before the first gym, so really it's only a grass Pokemon, and there are 2 different ones you can catch. You can either get in Eevee edition, you can either get a Bellsprout or a Bulbasaur, and in the Pikachu version, it's Oddish or Bulbasaur. So here we'll catch our main for the first portion of the game. Alright, so that's something you'll see a lot of in this run. Lots of motion control catching. And one of the, I guess, things that separates some of the better runners from the mid-tier is, I guess, how we route our catches during the run. So the, I guess, gym requirements that I was talking about earlier, the most critical one in terms of the run is the 5th gym, Koga's gym. The requirement to enter that is having 50 unique Pokemon in your Pokedex. So we'll spend a lot of time catching different Pokemon in this run to reach that requirement. And some of the interesting things about, I guess, experience in this run compared to previous Pokemon games is most of your experience is focused around catching. They've reduced a lot of experience in the trainer battles, and it's more focused around the experience you get from catching. So you don't actually battle wild Pokemon in this game. It's only catching Pokemon to get experience. So that's the first cutscene we get to skip for the run. 1 of 5. So we'll see what sort of nature we got on the Eevee. Best nature for the Eevee is something with plus attack. We want either naughty or lonely are the better 2. We've got docile, which is neutral nature, which is fine. So we can make that work. Now generally, if we're doing, I guess, competitive resets, you'd be taking anything, I guess, naughty, lonely, the best 2. But you can really run with anything that's not minus attack, minus special attack, or minus speed. If you get plus special attack or plus attack nature with minus speed, you can run that as well, because there's only really a couple of fights that minus speed actually impacts. One of the biggest changes in this game compared to previous Pokemon games is wild encounters. So basically, all your overworld encounters are out in the open, so you don't actually get any random battles unless you actually choose to run into something in the overworld, or if they run into you, which can happen because some of them do run faster than you do. So we'll do your normal Gen 1, go up to Viridian, get the parcel for Oak, and then we'll fast travel back to Pallet, which is a nice little addition for the speed run. So we'll see that in a second. So there you saw all those overworld encounters. One interesting thing about, I guess, how the run's developed since it came out is when we first started running the game, there were two separate categories, one for one controller and one for two controller. Since then, we've decided as a community that any percent run would not, I guess we've combined those. So you can either choose to use one controller or two. There is an advantage using two controllers, so most runs now do use that second controller for parts of the game. And you'll see that a lot with our catching. So generally I'll get out the second controller when we're catching a Pokemon, because it does increase the catch rate. So it makes, I guess, reduces the variance on catches significantly. This is our first battle of the run, pretty basic. It is very unlikely to die in this fight. The only real way you can die is if you get paralyzed constantly by the Pikachu, but not really a big deal if you do die. No worries, didn't get paralyzed, so that's first fight out of the way. So one of the, as I said before, interesting parts of the run is the experience you get from random encounters when you're catching them. So each catch has a base amount of experience you get, and that increases based on different multipliers. So one of the big ones is first ball catch bonus. Not only is it faster to get something caught in the first ball, it also gives a 50% bonus experience. So if we do miss something on the first ball, not only does it waste time, but it also reduces the experience we'll have for the rest of the run. So that's one of the good things about having this option for a second controller now, is we've increased, I guess, our experience that we're getting throughout the run by increasing the amount of first ball catches. The second controller also does add a bonus as well. When I'll be doing the two controller catches, because motion controls can be a bit finicky, I do have the holder, so I'll slip the first controller into the holster for the Joy-Cons and throw them both at once to make sure that they both throw at the same time. So coming up, we've got Viridian Forest. So here we'll be trying to catch a couple of things. Weedle and Caterpie are pretty big for the run, because not only are they good experience early, but they both evolve twice in only a couple of levels. So they are very good to increase that 50 count to get into Koga's gym. So that's just catching Weedle and Caterpie and evolving them twice each is 6 towards that threshold. There are a couple other ones that we'll grab. We need to grab ourselves a Bellsprout to get into Brock's gym. We'll also pick up a Pikachu if we see one, because there is the option to evolve that with a Thunderstone later. So if we are short on pokes, we can do that. Now, one thing I haven't talked about yet is some of the new items in this game that have kind of come over from Pokemon Go, which this game's kind of been made to synergize with. That being, so one of the most important items we'll use a lot in this run is a lure, which is kind of, I guess, a bit counterintuitive to previous Pokemon games where you're trying to use repels as much as you can to get rid of wild encounters, but we'll be using lures, which actually increase spawn rates. And another thing that it does is basically all the Pokemon in the forest here are anywhere between level 3 and level 6. What it does when we use a lure is it actually increases all the encounters to level 7. So not only does that give us more experience, but it also makes it so we have less levels we actually need to evolve before we can get to, so if we're catching bugs at 7, we only have to evolve them, or level them up 3 times to get both those evolutions, whereas if we were catching them at level 3, the level up jingles are quite significant time-wise. Now, you saw me run to that Pidgey earlier. The reason I ran away from it instead of catching it is there are a couple of areas later on that we'll go through where we can get Pidgeys at a higher level. That will be 1 level away from evolving to a Pidgeotto, or if we catch them on Cycling Road, it'll actually be 2 levels away from Pidgeot, so we can get two evolutions there if we choose to delay Pidgey until then. So here we'll try and basically avoid catching anything until we've got this lure on. Okay, so those, there we go. That's something I haven't explained as well. So that's, you can get glowing encounters. So basically this Weedle is glowing red, which basically means it is larger than normal. So there is a XP bonus you get from either large or small encounters. So this is the first catch of the run. You can't use 2 controllers for until you get a second Pokemon. So it is always a bit annoying if they jump out when you don't have that option for a second controller, but we've got it now. And that's what you see me, I guess, aiming for on all my catches, is try and get those excellent throws, because it does give a bonus to your experience you get from catches as well. So most of the time we'll be aiming to get right in the center of that circle. Okay, so now we've got that option for a second controller, which I'll get out now to catch this Bellsprout. Alright, so this one is glowing as well, so this should give us a reasonable amount of experience. We've missed out on the first ball bonus on both, but that's fine. Basically, all we need to do is get to level 10 before Brock's Gym, because Eevee does learn Double Kick at level 10, which we need for the Geodude and the Onix. Now, I basically have to, normally, if I was doing runs at home, I would have a counter up to try and count up to 50. So I'm going to use my phone for that instead, so I don't lose track of how many I've got. So that is, so far we've got the 4, the Eevee, 2 bugs, and the Bellsprout. Okay, so basically we can just get away with catching a Caterpie and then leaving. There is Pikachu. It's a good one. Alright, so just a Caterpie and then we can leave. This should have us at just about level 10 now, which is good. So we've hit that threshold. Yeah, perfect. And what you'll see a lot that I'll be doing in this run is opening up the menu to get Pokemon out of our party, because basically all these catches are giving us XP to all pokes in our party, and if they continue to get levels, we'll keep losing time to that. So one of the good things about this game is basically they added the ability to access the PC wherever you are. You don't have to go into a Pokemon Center to access that PC to deposit pokes, so we can do that at any point really. Okay, so that's all of our catches out of the way. Pretty good XP. Almost level 11, which is pretty good. Yeah, you've got some donations already now. Yeah. Okay, so now we'll get rid of this second controller player and do this fight with Eevee. So this is a range to one-shot with Eevee. This trainer is one of the only trainers in the game where his poke actually has AVs. So basically, in previous Pokemon games, there were EVs, effort values, which they've now replaced with awakening values. Basically, what that means is at how the, I guess, mechanic works is that each level up, you get a random extra base stat in one of your stats, which can be determined by the Pokemon's characteristics. So each Pokemon has a different characteristic that increases the likelihood of that stat getting awakening values at level up. And you can also, by catching pokes, transfer them to the Professor to get candy, which you can feed to the Pokemon to increase those certain stats. So it can be a bit variable what stats you have, because you get those random stats at each level up. But we took out that Metapod, which is a good sign for our attack, that we might have got some AVs in our attack stat. Here we'll show the Bellsprout, which will get us into the gym. And first gym leader of the run. Okay, so for this fight, it's pretty basic. We just basically double kick both things and take them out. And after this, we'll be doing our first shopping trip for the run. So we'll buy some X items, some Pokeballs. So basically, one of the biggest innovations in terms of our shopping when we, but since we started running the game, is we started selling all our Pokeballs and buying Great Balls instead, which made our catch variance go down a lot. So that's actually helped significantly since we started doing that. Previous to that, we were buying Great Balls, but we were going out of the way to get money items to pay for them instead of selling our Pokeballs. And that is Brock out of the way. One of the interesting things about this game in terms of the Gen 1 games it was based on is Brock's TM. In this game it gives Headbutt, which is actually a pretty significantly strong move for Eevee, because not only does it have the 70 base power and the flinch chance, but it also gets the same type attack bonus, so it does an extra 50% damage. So base damage for a Headbutt for Eevee is 105, which puts in some work later, and it'll be one of the main moves that we use for the rest of the run. So that girl on the Slowpoke in the top left corner, you can go up there and babysit that Slowpoke for about 45 seconds, and it gives you a big pearl, which you can sell for 4,000, which we were doing when we started running this game. All right. Let's focus on shopping here. I don't want to buy the wrong thing. Alright, so we've got our X items sorted. That we'll use for a couple of upcoming fights. And we'll go towards Mount Moon. So this is going to be the next area where we kind of try and catch a few things, not only to add to our Pokedex, but we need to get some levels as well before we get to Cerulean. Because the gym requirement for Misty's gym is that we are level 15. So, in this grass, we'd like to see an Ekans, if we can. Alright, there it is. Perfect. Alright. So after this, we'll go up and buy the $500 Magikarp. It's actually significantly faster than catching it in the wild. We do go to an area later where we can find Magikarp, which is just before Blaine's gym. But the Magikarp itself, going and buying it, it only takes just under 25 seconds, whereas a catch, assuming you get in the first ball, takes about 35 seconds. Yep. Yeah, if you want to read them now, yep.
Hi everyone, we've just got a few donations in. Anonymous gave $11.32, saying donation to Base God Audio Tech for solving Power Stomp Poke Audio, 1 cent more than previous donation. Tengu Liam gave $1.68 and said, haha, here's enough to make it 69 cents again. Keep it classy, audience. And Anonymous said to please everyone with $1.69, 1 cent more than previous donation, and 69 in the donation. Thank you all very much. And we've got a few incentives, so check the chat to see what those are.
Alright, just got our massive evolve sesh out of the way there. Alright, so we'll go buy this Magikarp now. Okay, so one of the something interesting that happened in the community recently was one of the top runners actually bought a shiny Magikarp, which was interesting. And at GDQ the other day in the Let's Go run, we also had a shiny towards the end of the run. So shinies in this run are actually pretty common. It's about maybe just over 5% of runs you'd see a shiny, which is pretty different to previous Pokemon runs because you see a lot more encounters in this because they're all in the overworld. Whereas in let's say red or blue, you're only getting the three encounters on the first route, and that's just about it. So here we'll heal up and teach Headbutt. We'll use this lure.
Sorry. Who wants to go to the practice first? Follow me right now.
Alright.
If you haven't signed in or gotten your pass, you're not getting it.
Okay, so get rid of everything in our party except the Metapod, which we still need to evolve, and we still need a second poke in our party so we can use that second controller for our catches. Okay, so this Bellsprout should go out in one hit. So in Mount Moon, we're going to be aiming to catch a Geodude, a Clefairy, and a Paris. They're the three main things we want. A couple of bonuses we can see are Onyx, which is quite rare, and we can choose to get a Zubat, although we can delay that to Rock Tunnel because it will be one level away from evolving at that point. Okay, just run past the spinner. Okay, so we're going to go down this ladder. There's a couple of things we want down here. One's a Moonstone, which we use to evolve the Clefairy we catch. And there's also a Nugget, which we'll use to buy some items later in Vermilion. So I guess we'll catch this, this Zubat, seeing as we ran into it. Zubat's pretty hard to hit excellence on because it does move around pretty regularly, so it's not even really worth waiting to throw. It's pretty likely to get in a Great Ball, so we just kind of take what we can get with the Zubats. Okay, so grab that Paris and the Geodude, so we'll just need a Clefairy after that, and then we'll be done. So one interesting thing about the Pokeballs is if you throw one Great Ball and a Pokeball with the other controller, it takes the highest of the two. So we can choose to throw, well, I guess save our Great Ball supply, throw Pokeballs instead, which saves us a lot of money in having to pick up extra Great Balls along the way. Okay, so now we'll just grab this Geodude. Oh, we'll grab the glowing one. Alright, so that's our catches out of the way in here. Just need that Clefairy. If it shows up, it is a rare encounter, so we might not get it. But we've got the Ekans, I guess, which is something you'd not normally plan for. So we're, I guess, covered in our early catches. So now we get the Butterfree evolution. And our Eevee is level 14. So with the rest of the fights in Mount Moon, we should hit 15 or be very close to. Alright, so we'll head out of here now, head back up and start beating the rest of the trainers. Or we'll get a Geodude spawn underneath us. And a Zubat. This is one of the, I guess, worst parts of having the lure active. After you've caught everything you want, you get all these spawns that spawn underneath you. Okay, so this is a range to kill with Headbutt here, depending on how many Eevees we've got. Not quite taking out the Sandshrew there, so it doesn't look like we've got a lot of Eevees in our attack stat. And now we're getting sand attacked. There we go. So in terms of double battles for the run, we won't be using the second controller for many fights. It'll be mostly for catches. There are a few fights that we'll get the second controller out, mostly for safety reasons. Later in the run, there's a couple of tough fights. One's Ted. He's a scientist in the mansion who leads with an electrode. And at that point of the run, we won't be using Eevee anymore. Basically, we're going to rush as fast as we can to surf, which will give us access to a lot higher level wild pokes. So basically, in terms of the gym order we do in this game, we do the first 2 gyms, and then the next gym after that will be the 7th gym. So we actually do Blaine as the 3rd gym in this run. So basically, what you'll see for the rest of this run is we'll do these first 2 gyms, get all the rocket segments out of the way, get Surf, which is in Fuchsia, and then head down below Pallet Town to catch ourselves a Staryu, which will be our poke that we use for the rest of the run. Reason for Staryu, there's actually been a couple of different routes since this game was released. The first poke that we actually ran after release was Kabutops. So we actually brought the fossil back to life, and they come at level 44, I believe. And Kabutops gets a pretty significantly strong moveset. It's got the buff Gen 7 Leech Life. It's got Waterfall, Rock Slide. So it actually had pretty significant coverage, but there were still some fights that kind of struggled on. One of those being Erica, which is significantly out level, but still needed to set up an X item on. And the first poke on the fight, Tangler, because of the 4 times weakness to grass, did have a chance to just outright kill you on one shot. So since then, we've kind of developed the route, and we've started using Starmie, which has a lot easier time with Erica especially, and just has generally better coverage. The moveset that we'll end up with for our Starmie will be Scald, Thunderbolt, Psychic, and Hydro Pump. So pretty much covers everything, at least for neutral damage. So we're going to get level 15 here, which is good. That means we can do Misty early, which saves about 15 seconds. If you didn't hit level 15 after Mount Moon, you'd have to do Nugget Bridge. Ooh. Great thing about spawning in a loading zone. Not possible to get that Clefairy, but anyway, it's all right. So what we'll have to do instead, because we have missed out on Clefairy in here, we'll evolve Jigglypuff instead. There are a lot of encounters that we can get that do evolve via Moonstone, so we can make use of that down the track. Now, one good thing about double battles is we can use our second poke to set up X items on our Eevee. So make short work of this fight by just setting up an X attack. Now, one of the, I guess, most broken things about this game, I guess compared to Gen 7, so Sun and Moon. So in that game, they not only buffed X items, but they increased the cost as well. So in Gen 7, X items increase your stats by 2 stages. And in Sun and Moon, they were about $1,000, $2,000 dollars each X item. But in this game, they reverted all the prices to Gen 1, but they stayed at a 2-stage increase. So they do give a pretty significant damage increase. So we'll abuse X items like most Pokemon speedruns throughout this run. Okay, so those Rattatas and Spearow are a bit low level, so we'll pick those up later when they're 1 level away from evolving. So here we'll see why the Eevee version is faster than the Pikachu version. In here, we'll go and teach ourselves some moves. Pretty good names for these as well. So we've got Bouncy Bubble, which is a 90 power water move that heals you for half damage dealt. We'll also teach ourselves Buzzy Buzz, which is a 90 power electric move that always paralyzes. And we'll also teach Sizzly Slide, which is a 90 power fire move that always burns. So pretty busted moves, really. Now Buzzy Buzz and Bouncy Bubble are both special, and Sizzly Slide is a physical move. So we'll get a lot of use out of all those moves. So we'll get everything out of our party here, just so it doesn't level up anymore. We've got that level 15 Eevee, so I've got our requirement covered for this gym. So just a couple fights in here. We've got first trainer, who's got a Goldeen, which should be pretty easy to handle. And then Misty herself's got a Psyduck and a Starmie. So one of the best things about these special moves that Eevee gets, we can abuse all those secondary effects a lot. So you'll see it on the Misty fight. Next up, we'll abuse the Paralyze from Buzzy Buzz. So basically the Starmie will outspeed us on turn 1. We'll use Buzzy Buzz, which will paralyze it, and will outspeed on turn 2. And that actually makes this fight really easy. Otherwise, if we weren't able to paralyze, we'd have a lot harder time because the Starmie does kill us in 2 hits. So we'll heal before this fight and save, because if we do get criticaled, there is a chance to die here. Also a nice chance to check our Pokedex count every time we save. Alright, and this is where we'll be using that second X item that we bought in Pewter. So this will be like the last gym we'll do for about an hour and a half. We'll do a lot of plot in between. Okay, and that's the Psyduck down. So one of the worst things, I guess, that can happen in this fight, it's very, very unlikely to die. I guess the worst thing that can happen is you get burned by Scald, which we managed to avoid, which is good. So we don't have to do any menuing to heal or anything after this. We can just go on to the next fight straight away. So after this, we'll be doing a rival fight and then Nugget Bridge as well, which are pretty trivial for this Eevee with this pretty godlike moveset. That's one of the things they've done to balance out how good these moves are, is that you can't actually evolve your starter. So we can't actually evolve this Eevee at any point during the game. Same with the Pikachu. Now one of the biggest time differences between the two games, the Eevee and Pikachu version, is I guess Pikachu's way of dealing with rock ground types. Now we have Bouncy Bubble, which just destroys them. whereas Pikachu has to rely on Dig, which it teaches via TM, and actually has to find an optional trainer to get access to that TM. So that's a significant portion of the time difference in the games. Pikachu does have a faster early game, because in the Pikachu version you get Oddish, which they actually use for the Brock fight. One reason we don't use Bellsprout is, although it has Vine Whip, which is 4 times effective, it's physical, whereas Oddish has access to Absorb, which is special, which makes the Brock fight for the Pikachu run a lot faster. So here we've got a rival who is pretty easy. Most Pokemon speedruns, generally the hardest fight in the runs, in a lot of those other runs, is the second rival fight. Generally he gives a lot of trouble, but this game he's not difficult at all. Just missed the 3-turn fight, but that's fine. So the rest of the bridge here, it's pretty basic. All these trainers have got 1 poke that all die in 1 hit. So we'll just kind of cruise down here. Probably a good time for donations if we've got any.
So we got a couple of donations in. We got $7.50 towards the Sonic Adventure incentive. So if you want to donate to any of the incentives, let us know in the comments. And PSX gave $10 and said, "Greetings from the live studio audience. Long-time viewer, first-time donor is $10 readers. Tobias towards West of Loathing Silly Billy walking mode." And hey, if we want to make some, if we want to get some donations in and start something that I'm going to regret saying, why don't you donate and tell us what your favorite Pokemon is?
My favorite Pokemon, I've got a couple. Gyarados. Gyarados is probably my favorite Pokemon in Gen 1. And then Metagross and Garchomp as well are up there. Maybe we can get the we can beat GDQ and get some Pokedex number donations happening. So if anyone likes Arceus, feel free to donate $404. All right, so that's 2 trainers down on the bridge so far. A couple more to go. Now, one of the good things about Bouncy Bubble is really we don't have to heal very often, because we can just heal ourselves by knocking out the Sandshrew and the Growlithe that are coming up. Now on the next route there is a little bit of grass with some pretty unique encounters that we won't really see anywhere else, those being Meowth and Venonat. You don't get a lot of opportunity, I guess, to wait around for them. Most of the time it's just faster to run by and just hope you get lucky that there are some spawns there. But we'll see if there are Venonats and Meowth. There is also a chance of getting a Squirtle. Now that's one thing I haven't really talked about yet is I guess they're referred to as hidden encounters or special encounters. They don't show up on your Pokedex, so if you look up Squirtle or Bulbasaur or Charmander in the Pokedex, they don't actually show that they appear on those routes, but Bulbasaur, that can show up in Viridian Forest. Squirtle can show up here on Route 25. Charmander can show up on the route just after Mount Moon that we were on before, and it can also show up in Rock Tunnel. I personally haven't seen a Squirtle on this route ever, so they're pretty rare, especially with how few slots you normally see. Now the next catch we actually do will be one controller, just because we only have the one Pokemon in our party at the moment, because we wanted to minimize those level ups. So ideally, if we do catch something, it'd be a Meowth. It does have the lowest catch rate of anything on this route. So we've just got this last trainer, and then we're done this route, providing I can dodge the rest of the trainers. There are interesting thing about the line of sight for a lot of trainers in this game is they're very thin. They've kind of just got like a stick held out in front of them. That's the equivalent of their vision. So we can dodge a lot of trainers by running to the side of the tile of vision they're looking down, and you'll see that with two trainers kind of looking side by side. No encounters there, so we'll just leave. Okay, so these two, we can run down between them and run around here. So that's all the trainers out of the way, except this last one, which you can't avoid. Now after this, we'll go down, we'll leave Cerulean once we've skipped this cutscene coming up. And we're looking to do a couple more catches on the route above 1 million. So there's some unique ones on that route that we'll want to grab. Those being, well, this is our first opportunity to get a Pidgey that's 1 level away from evolving. It's also a chance to get a Jigglypuff, an Abra, which is a pretty important one. It is quite rare to get Abra, and there's only a couple of routes that we'll actually go through where Abra can spawn. So that'll be an important one if we can pick up an Abra, because that'll be 1 level away from Kadabra as well. So yeah, a couple of catches we'll be looking to get after we leave Cerulean. Alright, so here is the second of the 5 cutscenes we can skip once he goes into the teleporter. Alright. Now we have to run all the way back, and we get to go see a cutscene that we can't skip. So one thing I haven't talked about yet, that will get a lot of use in about 20 minutes, is what the replacement for the bike is in this game. So in previous games we had ride pokes in Sun and Moon. We had the Tauros or the Lapras or the Charizard. In this game, you've still got that ride poke system. So depending on what Pokemon you own, whether they're rideable, you can jump on them, and some of them are faster than walking, some of them not. So we'll be trying to pick up a Rhyhorn in Rock Tunnel, which is kind of the first ride poke that's actually faster than walking. The one previous to that you can get is an Onix, but that's pretty much exactly the same speed or slower than walking. So we don't ever ride that. The other option for a ride poke you can get is there's a trainer in Vermilion that will give you an Arcanine if you've caught 5 Meowths. Now it's pretty slow to catch 5 of the same Pokemon. Doesn't really add to the Pokedex at all, and they are quite a rare encounter. So there was a bit of theory crafting going on when the game was released. Is it going to be faster to get this Arcanine in Vermilion if we catch these 5 Meowths? But turned out that with the getting access to Rhyhorn not long after, it ended up being just faster to get Rhyhorn instead. One of the favourite little cutscenes in the Let's Go community there. That always gets a bit of a laugh out of everyone. So there are a couple of hidden items in this passageway coming up that I'll pick up. Some of them, not sure why they decided to do it, but there are some items, hidden items in the underground here that are actually RNG items. Who thought that was a good idea? So they're money items. So you can get an item anywhere between $500 to $5,000. We'll see what we get here. This one's guaranteed to be a nugget. I got the lure. So what we'll do here is we'll use this lure before the next route to make sure that they're all level 17. And the reason we want to do it before exiting this door is if we exit this door and get some spawns, there may be some pokes around that are lower level than 17. Oh, that's an Abra. That's fantastic. All right, don't have a second controller, which is a bit worrying, but we'll see how we go. Not quite. Hopefully this gets in. We'll have the opportunity to use 2 controllers after this. That's good. All right, really good start. So we're looking to pick up Jigglypuff and Vulpix here, at least, and maybe a Pidgey as well. Pick us up a rare candy. We'll need a few of those. All right, there's a Pidgey. Didn't want to go for excellent there, just because the Pidgey just jumped. So if we waited a bit longer, it may have done its attack animation and knocked the balls away. So we'll just, I guess, take that first ball bonus instead of hoping for first ball and excellent throw. So I've got our 2 things that evolve via level up first, which is good. So the rest of the catches on this route will hopefully just evolve these 2 before we leave. There's a Jigglypuff and a Rattata. Might wait for Rattata a little bit. Okay, so this was glowing. One thing I didn't talk about earlier as well is not only do the glowing ones give extra XP, but they do have the chance of giving 4 times the normal XP, which, good timing. That was what is called an extra large encounter, which gives 4 times the experience of a normal large encounter. So we just got 1300 XP, which was good. So we've got both those pokes evolved, and Eevee is already level 20, which is fantastic. So we're pretty over leveled at the moment than where we would normally be because of this catch. So kind of worked out that when I wanted to talk about it, we actually got a extra large encounter. So now we just need Vulpix and possibly a Psyduck, and then we should be ready to go. Now there is a trainer skip on this route that is quite difficult. There's a couple of I guess pixels in between their vision, so you can walk between them, but it's a lot easier going the second pass going up because you've got a pretty good visual for you to line yourself up with. So we'll see if I can get this trainer skip done or not. Now, don't believe it was intended that they left this little gap, but we'll see. Yeah, go for it.
We have $3.52 from Grease Monkey, who says, "Greetings from Germany. My favorite Pokemon is Sonic." If you'd like to donate to any incentives, the first incentive we have coming up is a bid war for language for Nier Automata, whether you want to hear it in English or Japanese. So get those donations coming in.
Oh, we got it. Cool. All right, so I don't have to do that one more time. Do some shopping now and sell a bunch of items. Okay, so we'll buy a bunch of stuff in this shop. A lot of potions, a lot of X items, some escape ropes, some lures. And some guard specs. So they'll come in handy for a lot of the harder fights coming up. Some of them will require a fair bit of setup. For the next fight, we've got a rival, which we'll need to set up a couple of items for so we can make sure that we one-shot everything on that fight. Now we're going to see a rival somehow managed to climb through the floor here, which will be interesting. Somehow he beats us to the captain's room. Okay, so just a bit of dialogue here, and then we'll have an interesting fight that can go poorly. So we'll see how it goes. We'll save before. Okay, so he's just standing there. All right, let's go to the captain's room. We'll just leave him there. Oh, somehow he beat us. Fair enough. All right. Oh, I didn't save. Oh, well, that's fine. All right, so we'll use our guard spec here. What they'll come in handy for is avoiding any status moves. So this Pidgeotto specifically has sand attack, which we don't want to hit us, and that's good. He's sand first. All right, easy fight. Only damage we'll take now is double kick from this Pikachu, which will do about 20. So you can take a lot more damage on this fight if the Pidgeotto decides to use Wing Attack instead, because that does a pretty significant amount of damage. But luckily, we got the turn 1 sand attack. And didn't really take much damage at all. Okay, so that's our rival out of the way. No issues at all. So after this, we'll get our first of the special techniques. So the first is Chop Down, which gives us access to, it's basically the equivalent of Cut from the previous games, which will give us the access to Surge's Gym, which we will skip and do later instead. The reason we skip it is it's about a 5 or 6 turn fight as Eevee, and after exiting the gym and having to go back up, there is a cutscene where Misty takes you to Diglett's cave, whereas if we skip it later, we can come back, beat Surge in 3 turns and also skip that cutscene. So that's the reason we'll be doing it later. We don't really need the Thunderbolt TM now. So now we'll go skip our 3rd cutscene of the run, which is the SSN cutscene. All right. So let's go do this trainer skip one more time. I did say before that it is easier going up. Hopefully I haven't jinxed myself. Because you can just line yourself up with the middle tile on the ground here, so I'll see how I go. And fingers crossed, Nope. Alright. So these fights are pretty trivial. It's just 30 seconds that didn't really have to do. So I did end up jinxing myself, but oh well. Alright. That's good, we can catch that. So Vulpix is especially good because we get access to a free Firestone later, which we can use to evolve it. So this is a pretty easy 2 pokes. Alright, let's see how the count's going. So what I'll do now is evolve this Jigglypuff and then get everything else out of the party. Actually, we'll leave the Wigglytuff in just because we probably want a second controller for some of the catches coming up. Yeah.
We have one more donation. Anonymous gave $32.69, so thank you very much for that. So keep those donations coming in. We're close to $100.
Alright, so we'll get to see our first use of Chop Down coming up, which will give us access to the rock tunnel area. Now, one interesting thing about this game is they didn't really make Flash a very important requirement because you can see pretty well in rock tunnel without it. So we completely skip that. So nothing too good in that grass up there, so we won't take that detour. Sometimes if you see a couple of Nidorans or Spearow and Rat, you can go up there. They don't come at the greatest level. Most of them come at the level where they'll learn a level up move straight away as soon as they level up. Okay, so this is the first mirror match, first and only mirror match. Sand, which is not great. Made short work of the doppelganger. And now we just have to pray that we hit through sand back here. This gloom's not too threatening, so it doesn't really matter if we miss. We hit anyway, so that's fine. So on the next route, Route 10, we'll be hoping to pick up a few different things. Most important ones are the 2 Nidorans, Spearow and Rattata. They're the main ones we'll be looking for. We can also pick up a Krabby on this route as well. But the Nidorans and Spearow are the most important of those because they'll all be 1 level away from evolving. So we'll get all that caught and evolved by the end of Rock Tunnel, which is good. Here's where we get another free heal from Bouncy Bubble. Don't have to heal before this fight because we get this free heal here. should be all good now. That's one thing a bit annoying about this game is whenever a poke's status, there is a chance that the game just decides to lag for between 1 to 6 seconds. So that's what we try and avoid as much as we can is statusing pokes when we don't need to. But that was necessary there because the Raticate did have a chance to kill us with Crunch if we didn't status it. So we'll try and pick up a couple of things here. So Nidorino, we'll avoid this and get a Nidoran male instead. They're a bit hard to catch. Okay, Nidoran female, it's a good start. Okay, it was glowing as well, so this should be a good bit of experience. We'll see if it's extra small or not. It was not. Still 700 experience, can't complain with that. Okay, so a couple more things we need here. And there can be a maximum of 4 spawns at once. So I may have to, there's a cutscene just below, so I may have to enter that cutscene just to reload all the encounters if we get 4 things that aren't worth catching at once. Now, in terms of excellent throws, not only does it give extra experience, it also helps with catch rate as well. So that's another reason that I'll be trying to get those as often as I can. Okay, so really just Spearow that we want left here. It's not that important that we get a Rattata. There we go, okay. Got the Spearow, so we can go now, that's fine. Just a bit early on that throw, hopefully it gets in the ball. Alright, cool. We can leave now. Can also get Rattata here, but Rattata also spawns in the Pokemon Mansion, so we can get that later. Yeah, go for it.
All right, we've got a couple of big donations here. Jack Cringy donated $26.96. Figured I can get away with this given I dodged Tiger flights to Adelaide. Hope you're all having a great time at the new venue. Thank you very much for that, Cringe. We miss you. And Alley Cat has donated $53.65. Half a meat stack for silly walking. What a steal. Let's get some crazy legs into the West of Loathing run. So that has been met now, so thank you very much for that.
Nice. All right, so we've got one of the, another favorite cutscene of a couple of runners, especially in the Let's Go community of Lorelei here. So that we've kind of added a bit of extra plot, I guess, with this cutscene. It wasn't really in the previous games this is based off. In Fire Red, Leaf Green, after doing the Elite Four, there's a cutscene, I guess, with Lorelei in the Sevi Islands, but they kind of just moved that to here, the same equivalent kind of cutscene. So you get the easy job. You only have to take out 1 rocket, while Lorelei takes out 3 in the Worries. Probably just surfs them with the level 60 Lapras, and they're done for. Don't even realise she's Elite Four until she actually tells them. But that's it. Now we'll go into Rock Tunnel as some couple catches we want to do in there. Now I have already got a Zubat, so I have to remember that, so I don't end up catching 2. I also want to heal as well, because we take a fair bit of damage on that fight. Now we'll get rid of this Wigglytuff too. Alright, so let's see if we can get a Rhyhorn nice and early. That's a Cubone. I'll grab that. Okay. So we'll kind of want to pick up a Cubone, Machop, Graveler, and a Rhyhorn. They're the main ones we'll want to grab in here. Now Cubone, Machop, and Krabby, which we didn't end up picking up, they're all interesting catches because you catch them about 4 levels away from evolving, so it's kind of a bit iffy on whether it's worth it or not to level them up. It is an option we have if we're short on pokes, that we can leave them in the party for a while to get those 4 levels if we're short a couple of pokes. We're doing pretty well on a Pokemon count now, getting towards that 50 mark that we'll need to get into Koga's gym. A couple of, I guess, what we would consider bonus catches is the Abra that we picked up. So that's worth 2, and we also grabbed that Ekans, but we missed out on the Clefairy. So we'd kind of be 2 catches ahead of where we'd normally be at this point, and we did get pretty good luck, I guess, on Route 10 just before here, where we got the Nidorans and the Spearow without having to reset the area. Sometimes that route can be pretty trolly if the Nidorans or the Spearow don't decide to show up. Now, one of the pokes that we're catching in here is a Graveler, which gives a lot of experience. So ideally, we'd have everything we want to evolve before then. Now, I'll be running away from this Onix. Catch rate's really bad, and the game really doesn't like hitting Onix in the middle of its circle. Okay, so we got the excellent throw, at least on the Graveler. Missed out on the first ball bonus, but it was glowing, so this still should give at least over 1,000 experience. So we should get everything in our party evolved now. 1,200. So we've got the Nidoran and Spearow done. So we can get all of those out of the party now. How are we looking for pokes? So we still need Rhyhorn and a Machop. I think we're fine after that. Another one evolving. So the next fight coming up is one of the fights that I mentioned earlier, where if you did have a minus speed Eevee, this fight can give you some issues. Trainer does have a Kangaskhan, which has a bunch of flinch moves. So if you are slower, it can give you a lot of trouble. All right. Let's see, Rhyhorn, perfect. Okay, Rhyhorn can be a bit of a troll in terms of getting in the ball. So there are a couple of pokes, I guess we save those raspberries for. Generally, we sell all but a couple on that first shopping trip, and then save them for the Rhyhorn, the Graveler, and then generally the other one will go towards any poke you have to catch with one controller, whether that's a Route 25 or the route above the million. Okay, so we're going to do a bit of a menu here. Get rid of everything. Put the Rhyhorn in the party. Now, let's see if we can avoid this Graveler. Okay, we got it. So there's something you can do there. If you have a Ride Poke out, if you run into a corner, the Ride Poke will disappear. So I was able to use that there to get around the Graveler who was deciding to stand in the middle of the path there. Now we'll use an X item here because this Kangaskhan likes to use Fake Out, so it's basically a free turn of setup here. Got the flinch, so very easy fight. You can see how much easier that fight is when you have a normal speed nature. All right, now we can actually go fast. Whoa. All right. Now we still don't have a Machop, so I'll keep this lure up. All right. Now this fight's another one where Eevee's special moves come in pretty clutch. This Machop here does a fair bit of damage normally, but we'll just use Sizzly Slide and burn it, and it'll be no worries. And then Bouncy Bubble on the next poke, we'll just heal back to full health. Now we've got a couple more fights left in Rock Tunnel, and then we're done. Now I've kind of hit the level threshold we want to be here. Normally you kind of want to be just over level 26, leaving Rock Tunnel, which we've just hit there. Which means we should hit 28 before we get to Giovanni in the game corner. The reason we want to hit that threshold is in terms of how damage is calculated in this game, on levels ending in 0, 3, 5 and 8, you actually get a boost to your damage with how the rounding in this game works. Okay, so that's why we buy the burn heal. And that's that burn lag. Okay, so this Kadabra might be able to kill us here if it criticals, but we should be fine. Okay, didn't get confused, didn't get critical, so no worries there. Now luckily our rival did give us 3 revives earlier, so we do have those on hand if anything does go wrong. There's a Machop there, but I would have had to pass that spinner another couple times, so we won't worry about that. Oh, cool. So Rhyhorn blocking my way there, and the spinner got me. Actually, let's play this safe and heal here. Alright, so after this we've just got the one fight left in Rock Tunnel, and then we'll be on to Lavender Tower. So in previous Gen 1 games, it wasn't really required to enter Lavender Tower, but they've made it a requirement in this game. But we need to go up there, activate a cutscene, which is a bit of plot they've added before we can actually go on to the game corner. Now the next fight after this will be our 4th rival battle, which is kind of the first fight where we actually have to set up a pretty significant amount of X items to actually get through that. The Raichu on that fight is actually pretty scary. So that Meowth can use Fake Out, which is why we go with the X Special on the first turn, so we can just heal ourselves back up to full HP and not have to menu before the rival battle. Alright, and that is it for Rock Tunnel. A lot of Rhyhorns. A lot of times you'll go through Rock Tunnel and you won't see a single Rhyhorn. You'll just have to walk everywhere until we get our second Ride Poke. So we'll upgrade this Rhyhorn to a Rapidash when we get once we get the Poker Flute and we can get past the Snorlax. We can pick up Ponytars at level 39 with an active Lure, which is 1 level away from evolving. So what we'll do is we'll give a rare candy to a Ponytar and get ourselves a Rapidash, which is significantly faster than a Rhyhorn. So Rhyhorn's kind of just that intermediate Ride Poke for now. This will be our second use of the Guard Spec, because this Pidgeotto still has Sand Attack. Hopefully it does start off with Sand Attack. Now we get Wing Attack. Once we've used the Guard Spec, it won't use Sand Attack anymore, so the only chance we can get to, I guess, skip a turn of damage is on that first turn if it decides to go for it. Okay, so looks like our defense is actually pretty good with Eevee here, so no need to heal off that damage. We're fine for the rest of this fight. Just go ahead and sweep with Headbutt and Sizzly Slide. So the next fight after this is interesting. It's our first look at Metronome, first and only. So we could get just about anything on this coming fight. The Clefairy could even explode on us. Hopefully it doesn't, but yeah, we'll see. Now, one of the, I guess, different routes I'm doing for a marathon rather than if this was to be a PB attempt. There is a more risky strat you can go for. The route before Celadon has level 29 Abras if you have a lure active. So there is the option to catch an Abra, evolve it to a Kadabra straight away, and then use that for the game corner, because it does have a better time with all the Jesse and James fights and the executives, because the Psychic or Psybeam deals very well with the Weezings and Golbats and Arbok. But we'll just use Eevee. It's only about 20 seconds slower, best case scenario, I believe. So a lot safer, seeing as we already got that Abra as well. Another cutscene here that we can't skip. So if we missed out on Vulpix earlier, there is the option on this route to cut into the grass in the middle. There's a chance for Vulpix to spawn. You can get Abra here, and there's also a Firestone in the middle of the grass, which we can use straight away to evolve the Vulpix. But because we picked up Vulpix on the previous route, we'll just grab a Firestone that's lying around a mansion later, which is a bit quicker to get rather than having to cut two bushes to grab it. Okay, so the question is, do we see Metronome, and what do we get? Thunder Punch. Okay, no Paralyzed, that's good. And we got the 2-shot, so no issues at all there. Clefairy can pretty much do anything with Metronome there. Some of the more interesting ones, Self-Destruct, Transform, and then because it speed ties you, it can win the speed tie, use Headbutt and flinch you. You can also get Guillotine, Horn Drill, one-hit KO moves. So that fight can be interesting if it goes poorly, but sometimes you just get lucky and get a low damage move, or you get Haze, or you get Mist and you just cruise through, or you just get the flinch on the first headbutt and you don't even see a move from it. So there's a lot of variance on that fight. All right, now we're off to the game corner. Let's pick ourselves up a Rattata here. Yep, go for it.
We have $7.01 from Welder, who's said something in Spanish, so I'm gonna beat him up later. Mi Pokemon favorito es o lucha. I don't have $101 to spare, though, so this will have to do. Put this towards the English voice acting in Nier, which is the first bid war coming up. So if you would rather hear the English, keep those donations coming in, or if you would like to hear it voiced in Japanese, you're going to have to donate to Snipe.
Cool, so what we're doing here is we'll teach another special move to Eevee. This one is Glitzy Glow, which is basically Psychic that puts up a light screen on the same turn. So pretty busted. And then here we'll talk to this lady. This will come in handy later on. Basically what we're doing is setting the natures for all wild encounters to modest. So basically when we catch ourselves a Staryu later on, it will be modest. So that's plus special attack, minus attack. So we'll have a good nature on our Staryu that we'll catch a bit later on. Cost us 10,000, but really don't need the money, so that's fine. Now it's kind of a gauntlet of fights here. These are all, in terms of levels for these trainers, they all go up pretty significantly in terms of fights we've just been doing. So this Raticate can be a bit annoying, and the Hypno after this can give you a bit of trouble. So we kind of do have to just suffer through the status lag on this fight. And just go for the flinches with Headbutt here. And that's that status lag. That was a bad one. All right, made it through that. Okay, so I'll just heal before this next fight. We'll leave that Rattata in our party because we want to get to one more level for Raticate. Should be sitting at about 30 odd pokes at the moment. So we're getting there. Probably about 20 more to go. A couple of those will be gift pokes. We'll pick up a Lapras and a Porygon. We'll also get that Staryu and Starmie. That'll be our mains. So aside from those, there won't be too many that we actually have to grab. Okay, so seeing Headbutt from Hypno there is good. It also has Psybeam, which can confuse, and Hypnosis, so double Headbutt, perfect there. Good fight. Now we'll run around on the spinning tiles. Now these spinning tiles are a lot better than Gen 1. Gen 1, they were about a quarter the speed of walking, but these actually are decently fast, so this segment's not stupidly boring like Gen 1. Now the next fight after this one can be a bit annoying if you get minimized from the Grimer. Can start off a lot of missing if it keeps using minimize and you miss the first turn. So we'll hope to get through that. This will be our last two headbutt PP, which we won't need any more of. And after these two fights, we will start a bunch of double battles. Now we also get to go on a little bit of an adventure with Eevee here, because this grunt really doesn't handle losing very well. Just decides to throw the lift key on the roof, so we'll have to. There's probably going to have to be a disclaimer in a sec. Kids, don't try this at home. Don't stand on chairs, especially office chairs. Now that's first use of that light screen there. Sludge being a special move, so it reduced any damage we took from Sludge. So we're still got enough, high enough HP that a Super Potion is going to put us to full health. And there is the Rocket being a spoil sport. Really doesn't cope well with losing at all. All right, what's the most unstable thing I can stand on? How about this chair? So the next three fights after this, the Jesse and James, Archer and Giovanni fights. Before we started doing two controllers, they were some of the hardest fights in the run. But with the addition of the second controller, the Archer fight especially becomes a lot more manageable. The Jesse and James fight's always a double. And there's some pretty cool strats we do on these next few fights, so we'll show that off in a sec. Pick up rare candy here. Alright, so now we will grab a couple of pokes out of our PC. Grab the rat and grab that. Now the reason for the Graveler is we'll be using that for the Giovanni fight, and we'll be using the Wigglytuff, although I should have swapped that already, but we'll be using that for the Jesse and James fights. With the fairy types being included in this game, Wigglytuff is fairy type, so it is weak to poison. So basically the Weezing and the Arbok will prioritize attacking that instead of Eevee first. So we're basically using it to sacrifice to save Eevee. Alright, so we'll save before this. These fights can be a bit trolly, so we'll do that now. We can also check our poke count. We have 31 pokes, so we've got 19 to go. pretty reasonable count to have at this point. Kind of hoping to have at least 30 by this stage. Alright, so here we'll abuse being able to use X items on our Eevee with our basically effectively slave. We'll start off with Buzzy Buzz on the Arbok. Reason for that is the Arbok does outspeed Eevee, so we want to paralyze it so we outspeed it the next turn. And no poison, which is perfect. So we'll finish the Arbok off, set up another X special on Eevee so we can one-shot the Wheezing the next turn. Got that light screen now so we take less damage as well. And we'll use this last turn just to heal Eevee back to full health. Okay, so I will be healing off that poison on the Rhyhorn for the next fight. Because we don't want to get that status lag, and I do want to have the Rhyhorn in that second slot. Alright, get our second controller out for Archer. So basically, what we used to have to do for this fight is either set up or an X special defend, or use Glitzy Glow turn 1 to get the light screen set up, so that we didn't straight up die to this Wheezing. That actually hurts a lot, and same with the Golbat after, that outspeeds us. It does have Air Slash, which can flinch. So what we'll do instead, set up a X special. We'll set up the X speed now because we have to set it up before the turn we actually want to outspeed the Golbat. Otherwise we'll use it next turn. The speed actually won't take effect before the turn starts. And after this, the Giovanni Fight, we'll get to see the Grappler shine. And special attack. And that's it. Archer down, no worries at all. So we just needed one controller after this for Giovanni. Just needed the second for that Archer fight. Where am I going? Yeah, that's one. Alright, we need the gravel at the front. There we go. Alright. So we'll get to see, I guess, an interesting strat that was kind of theory crafted a couple of months into the run. Yeah, it is slightly slower, but it does remove a significant amount of risk on this fight. This Persian, if you lead with Eevee, pretty much has multiple opportunities to kill you if with slash criticals. So instead of risking that, we just set up with the Grappler. And go boom. And that gets rid of the Persian. And then all we have left to deal with is the right horn. So I've got a Rattata evolution done here. And that's it, Giovanni down. So after this, we have a couple more rocket fights to go before we can actually get our new main. We've got to finish Lavender Tower, go down Cycling Road. We'll catch our Ponyta and a duo there, which will be useful for later on as well. Grab Surf, and then we'll catch our Staryu. So there's not too many more fights we've got left, actually just using Eevee. Alright, now we just have to run out. Now we'll pick up some extra Ultra Balls along the way, because we will need those, especially for some of the bugs we have to catch in the water, because you can't actually have a second controller out when you're surfing. So we'll use that for Tentacool and Staryu. So that gives us 10 Ultra Balls, which should be plenty to get all our other catches out of the way. Now we'll pick up Fly, which will be very handy to get to move around the place a bit quicker. So this is our secret technique number 2. Alright, so we'll try and catch a Ghastly up here. They're generally 1 level away from evolving, so it's a quick 2 catches. Although they do move around a lot, so hopefully we don't miss too many balls. So I believe we're at 32 pokes at the moment, because we did evolve that Rattata. So this will put us at 34, assuming we evolve the Ghastly. Hopefully we get a Ghastly show up. Sometimes they decide not to. Sometimes you get a bunch of Zubats, which are like 5% chances. Alright. No Ghastly yet. Yeah. First of 2 channelers we'll have to fight in here. They've both got just a Haunter. This one has plus special defense nature, so has a chance to live a Glitzy Glow, so hopefully we get a good roll. Can be a bit of a troll. That went to Sucker Punch, so that's fine. Alright, first one down means the next one will definitely die. We've got good enough special attack to deal with that. Get our free heal. Avoid both those spinners. Cubone, that's a pretty low encounter chance in here. Alright, last channeler before we have to fight Jesse and James for the 3rd time, I believe. Yep.
We have a donation from Elliot151. Stop, dude. He gave $8.28 and said, Paper Mario remakes when Nintendo. Keep up the good work, dudes. Also, Trico is the best starter. Don't at me. Mudkip would like a word. Remember, we are raising money for Beyond Blue this year, and all donations are going to a great cause to support people with mental illness in Australia. So keep those donations rolling in.
All right, now we have the 4th cutscene we get to skip. Only the cutscene left is the champion cutscene. Now we did see a, there's a Ghastly. Cool. We hit it, that's good. Ghastly likes to jump around, so at least we hit it. Hopefully it gets in the ball. Good, cool. Perfect. All right, so that is our 33rd poke. Only 17 to go, and then we're done. Okay, so this will be the last fight we actually do with Eevee. And then we'll be using Starmie after this. Okay, so this fight's very similar to the last Jesse and James fight we did. Again, we just boost up our Eevee with a couple of X specials, paralyze this Arbok, and then hope that they target the Wigglytuff, which it did. So if we'd got hit by, there is a small chance that the Arbok doesn't actually target the Wigglytuff. And if it does hit Eevee, we can die if both Weezing and Arbok target the Eevee. But did manage to target the Wigglytuff, which is why we use it, because the AI does favour hitting the poke that's super effective, weak against poison. Okay, and one more X special, and then we'll make, and we'll be finished with this fight. Now the J&J fights are two of the main reasons why we don't take minus special attack niches, because even at +4 special attack with those two special X specs up, the Weezing and Arbok can live. Alright, so we'll pick up this Poker Flute and we'll head off to get our Ponyta. Now we didn't pick up a Psyduck earlier as well, so that is an option that we can catch, and a good thing about catching late Psyduck is that it's one level away from evolving. So some good catches on Cycling Road here will be Psyduck, Doduo, and the Ponyta. So if we see all of those, we'll be in a good spot, Poke count wise. Do our cutscene so we can get the T, which will let us enter Saffron later, because the guards, as per the games it's based on, are thirsty. No buying fresh water or lemonade at the top of the department store in this game, no. They've made it even easier. Don't even have to go into a building to get the tea. You just get given it. Go get this Snorlax out of the way. Now, Mr. Fuji, in the time that we flew over here, has managed to run somehow. Marathon runner, Mr. Fuji, shows up just in time. So this is one of the, I guess, few wild battles we actually do in terms of if you in a casual playthrough, how you would catch Snorlax is you have a 5-minute time limit to actually beat it, but we'll just run away, much easier. Don't have to worry about beating it or anything. Alright, so we'll go through this next gate. We'll lure wire in here to make sure any encounters we get are the levels we want them at. Okay, so that's the last we'll see of Eevee, other than it sitting on her head. Dodge that trainer, that's another example of terrible trainer vision. Alright, so I've got our duo sorted, which we'll use for a fight later. It will take care of an Executor for us. First ball, which is good. And that gets our Ghastly evolution as well. We did get a Ghastly at level 27 though, so I did learn Dark Pulse at level up, which is a bit annoying. So that is 35 pokes, I believe. So 15 left. Keep track so I don't go over or under, because if I get to Koga's gym and have 49, we're going to be in trouble. Okay, so now we just need our Ponyta, and then we can leave. Psyduck's not that important, although it would be nice. Oh, there's Ponyta. Don't walk in front of the trainer. Bit early on the throw, but hopefully it gets in the ball. XP from catches isn't that important at this point. I guess the excellent throws, we just want to get them to improve the catch rate. All right, hopefully it gets in this one. Then we can evolve it and ditch this Rhyhorn. There we go. Okay, here we go. What's that, 37? Okay, so we'll pick up a Lapras and a Porygon there, but there are freebies. Evolve this Doduo, that's 40, so we need really 5 more things that evolve twice. So that's Staryu, Tentacool, Coughing, kind of need Psyduck. Oh, we'll figure this out. All right. All right. No Psyduck. actually. Alright, what else we got to evolve? We've got the Vulpix, and I think we need one more thing. Alright, it's the cutscene. Let's have a look. Alright, poke count is going to be a bit tight, so we'll see what we can do. Alright, so let's go catch our new main. Okay, so we use the lure here to make sure they're max level. Alright, catch this one. Can't use two controls in the water. Alright, hopefully this gets in the ball. This is why we picked up the extra Ultra Balls. Up until this point, we'd had pretty good luck with our catches, but this one just wasn't going to get in the ball. This is the issue with one controller catches. One of the best things about getting that ability to use two controllers everywhere else is we don't have to deal with this. Yep. All right, now we need to pick up a tentacle if we see one. There we go. All right, hopefully this one doesn't give us too much trouble. So that's it for catches there. Just need to grab coffee in here. I'll grab one that's along the way. All right. One of the last few catches we're going to have to do, hopefully. We're out of Ultra Balls. It's not good. Okay, so next fight coming up, a couple of floors away, is Ted, which used to be one of the hardest fights in the game. Not too bad now though, that we have the second controller. Okay, so now we're going to basically make our new main. We're going to teach some moves to the Staryu, we're going to use some rare candies, we're going to evolve it. Okay, so yeah, important that we use those rare candies before using the water stone there. Otherwise we won't be able to learn Hydro Pump. All right, here we go. Let's see how we go. So the reason this was a dangerous fight is this Electrode has Thunderbolt, which really hurts Starmie. Very close to one shot. I will throw out the Doduo as a sacrifice. Now we need to revive the Doduo because we want it to be getting XP, because we still do need to evolve it. And that's Ted out of the way. So now we'll go pick up this Firestone. So poke count's going to be interesting. We are actually a bit short. I think we've got 47 at the moment. So what I'm going to have to do is that Rattatail's being annoying. Pick up a couple of extra somewhere. So what I'll do is we'll pick up an extra Moonstone, which we can use to evolve one of the Nidorinas or Nidorino we've got. And then we'll have to figure out where the other two are going to come from.
Ideally, it would have been the Sudak on Cycling Road. Alright, didn't forget the secret key, that's good. Alright, so we escape out of here and we do our first gym since we beat Misty, which will be Blaine. Oops. One of the worst things about the Joy-Cons is pretty much every button on the controller, if you press it down, works like an A button. And if you press A while you're on a ride poke, you stop and talk to them. So don't press too hard on the analog stick on the Joy-Cons. All right, so Blaine's questions. Here we go. Magma is the Spitfire poke. What is the second question? There are 8 gyms. Steel is not very effective versus fire. What is that? And for the last question, we can pretty much answer anything. So let's say this. All right, so Blaine Fight can be a bit interesting. The Magma tends to use Confuse Ray turn 1, but sometimes it likes to use Flamethrower as well. So ideally we'd get Flamethrower so we don't have to full heal off the Confusion, but we'll see what happens. Can also go downhill if it decides to use Flamethrower and burns you, so we'll see what happens. Did get Confuse Ray. Have to heal that off. Now I'll have to use Hydro Pump on the Ninetales because we do have not the best special attack stat on this Starmie, so better off going for the 80% chance to hit Hydro Pump than probably about a 60% range to kill the Ninetales. So hopefully we hit Hydro Pump. Hydro Pump doesn't get a lot of use over the course of the run. Mostly the fights in Victory Road require that the most. Alright, last poke and we will have our 3rd/7th badge. And we hit the Hydro Pump. Easy. Three badges down, an hour and a half between the 2nd and 3rd, but now we're going to do a bit of a gym rush and catch up on badge count. Next we'll go do Surge, which we should have done a little while ago, but we'll go pick it up now because we want to get that Thunderbolt TM and teach that to Starmie because that'll come in handy shortly. Now, one of the best things about this game, I guess, compared to the games it was based on, is in all the previous games, the trash can game mini game was all RNG, whereas in this game, they've made it the same every single time. So there's no variance at all at this part, which is great. Let's just go in top middle can and the one below it. at this point, Surge is pretty pathetic gym leader. We out level him by over 15 levels for all his pokes. So this is going to be a very quick fight. So after this, we'll go to Erica's gym, then we'll go to Silphco, where we've basically got the second hardest fight in the run in that section. It's a true double fight, so you have one of your pokes and one of your rival's pokes. So one of the I guess most frustrating parts is your rival doesn't always choose the most effective move to use, and then the two lead pokes can be very trolly. One of them's Electrode with Thunderbolt, which can give Starmie a lot of issues. You can basically get stuck in a heal loop, and the other is a Muck with Protect. So that fight can go terribly, or it can go really well. In terms of how long the fight can last, it can be anywhere between 3 and like 10 turns. So, and because it is a double battle, the turns are significantly longer than normal, and I guess I'm not sure why it happens, but the fight itself, there is a lot of lag, so you can lose minutes on that fight. It is kind of the gatekeeper for a lot of good runs. So hopefully that fight goes all right, but yeah, we'll see. Got our Dodrio, which we'll make use of soon. And we have our 4th badge. Okay, so here we'll teach Thunderbolt. Upgrade this moveset. Okay, so and this gym here is another example of how bad the trainer vision in this game is. Pretty much you can slip past every single trainer in the gym because their vision is so narrow. You just kind of walk around the corners. Okay, so this next gym leader should be pretty trivial. We're pretty over leveled. Should be a 3-turn fight. Just psychic everything in the gym, and then after this we'll go to Silphco. All right, Erica down. It's gym number 5. So we've gone from 2 to 5 in the space of about 10 minutes. It's going to slow down a bit now because we do have a bit of a rocket segment to finish now. Because we are so short on poke count, I might just have to grab a stone from the department store to evolve this Pikachu as a bit of a backup. I'll also grab a rare candy as well. This one we need just because Starmie does get a little bit under-leveled unless we keep giving it some rare candies, so yeah, wrong one. Okay, so we've got a fight with Lou coming up, which is where we'll make use of this Dodrio. So this fight, for Starmie alone, when we were only using one controller, was pretty difficult. There are a couple of different strats that were kind of thrown around. There are times where we were getting the Aerodactyl, reviving the fossil and using that for this fight, because it handled the Exeggutor and the Charizard pretty well. But since we've changed to 2 controllers, it's become pretty simple now. We use the Dodrio for the Exeggutor and then just take out the Charizard with the Starmie. And hopefully we Hydro Pump, and that's it. Easy fight. So the next fight is the second Archer fight, which can be very trolly. It is the fight with the Electrode and the Muck, so we'll see how that one goes. Can get rid of the second controller there. One of the good things about this run and just in general it's quite safe. There aren't really too many fights that will end your run. It's a really good starting point for new runners. The mechanics are pretty simple. The biggest thing that separates top runners from mid-tier, as I said before, is just how catches are routed out, which I haven't done too well this run, but it is a lot easier when you have a counter up in front of you. So, and this is that lag that I was talking about in this fight. Perfect. Self-destruct from the electrode is exactly what you want to see. We didn't see protect from the muck either, so this is basically the perfect fight. Now we just need the Cubone to hit a couple of bone meringues on the Raticate, and it'll be a 3-turn fight, which is exactly what we want. Hopefully the Cubone doesn't miss, or use headbutt instead. Alright, Cubone, do your thing. Focus energy. And this is the frustrating thing about this fight. Your rival doesn't do what you want very often, so that'll cost us a turn, but it's not too bad really. Should just live a sucker punch here. Yeah, you sucker punch the Cubone anyway, so easy. No issues at all with that fight. We got a really good turn one. No protect and self-destruct is really fast. Get this tentacle evolution out of the way. Still have to evolve that coughing. That still has a little while to go. Hopefully that should get done before Sabrina. After that, there'll be, I guess, some scrambling for pokes. Maybe that we have to go catch a Psyduck, possibly. Take this handy little teleporter next to us here. It'll take us to the floor we need to go to. Good thing about after that fight is we get a free heal. So we have full PP, full HP now, which is great. Now after these next couple of fights, there will be a bit of shopping. We'll pick up some more X items, some repels, some full heals, some more potions, and then we'll go to Sabrina's gym. And after that, I guess we'll have a better idea of what we need in terms of pokes. We've got that Thunderstone, so we can evolve a Pikachu. We've got, there's a Moonstone a couple houses over from Sabrina's gym, which we can use to evolve one of those Niddos. And then after that, I believe we'll still need one more, so we might have to go just below Saffron and look for a Psyduck. Pretty simple fight here. All we need is for the Weezing to either not paralyze or not target the Starmie, which we got, which is perfect. All right, now we've just got the Giovanni Fight, which is pretty simple. We just set up an X-Spec on the first turn. because the Persian does like to use fake out, so it's basically a free turn of setup for us. Alright, so we'll use our last expect, so pretty much exactly enough since our last shopping trip. Turn 1 slash, that's pretty rare. That's no worries at all, we'll just have to heal that off before Sabrina. Alright, Giovanni down. Now we just forced to grab the Master Ball. And then we're done with this area. All right, so now we'll go pick up a couple of gift pokes. Don't have to do any catching.
Just want to take this moment to remind everyone that ASM 2019 is proudly supporting Beyond Blue, a terrific charity aimed at helping people with their mental health. So yeah, get your donations in. We've got a few donation incentives for some upcoming games, which I will quickly read out. We've got the Nier Automata, I don't know how to pronounce that, Nier Automata run coming up later, and there is a bidding war for that between the English language or the Japanese language. So if you want to hear either of those, get your donations in for that.
So there's one gift poke picked up. Now we'll go pick up our Porygon. And after that we'll have, I guess, a better idea of how many more we need to get up to 50 before we can go into Koga's gym. There's our Porygon, so we might just quickly just check our poke count. It might be faster just to run down, grab a Psyduck now. Was that 40? 45. So we need 2. Yep. So we need this Psyduck. So hopefully Psyduck pops up for us here. That's a Vulpix. So we'll just reload this area, get some new spawns. Hopefully we get a Psyduck. Nope. Surprisingly rare to not get a Psyduck at all, because there are multiple routes that it will show up on during the run. There we go. Finally got one. Okay, so that's 46 pokes. Just need 4 more. To get us up to 50, so we've got that Thunderstone for Pikachu. We've got a Firestone for a Vulpix. We've got that Coughing that's a couple, or about a fight away. And we'll grab a Moonstone as well. Alright, so we'll go steal this girl's Moonstone. Now, question is, am I going to remember the teleporter order? All right, let's get this these evolutions out of the way. All right, so that's 48. Evolve this Niddo, and then the Coughing, and then that's 50, and we're done, ready to go into Koga's gym. $49, nearly there. All right, a couple teleporters to go. Then we're at Sabrina. Save before Sabrina. There is a chance to die if you get criticaled here, so we'll play it nice and safe. One of the worst things about, I guess, saving in this game is reloading. There's no soft reset, so you actually have to fully quit out of the software, boot it back up again. So save and quit is very slow. So hopefully we don't have to reset, and we'll get through without a death here. Hopefully we see a light screen turn 1. Perfect. And now we'll set up our 3x special attacks. Okay, I think we have to heal now. We did get the special defense drop from Psychic, so we'll play it safe. Would have been very close. That's our 3rd X spec. And now we just sweep everything with Thunderbolt. The reason we set up so many X items is we have to stall out light screen, because he's guaranteed basically to reflect and light screen on the first 2 turns. So hopefully you get lights, so you kind of have to hope for light screen turn 1 so that you have to wait 1 less turn basically until it wears off. Now this Jinx can be a range, hopefully it dies. Cool, perfect. I hit 47. Now we'll use this as an opportunity to use a bunch of candies, and that's the coughing, evolving, and the last possible fight before we need 50 pokes. So that worked out well. So that's it. No more catching, no more evolving. We're all done. We just basically have to rush the Elite Four now. So we've got Koga's gym, Giovanni's gym, a couple of rival fights, and some Elite Four members, and that's it just about left to go. Take this wheezing out of our party. Don't need that anymore. Candy up the Starmie. Hit level 50, which gives us that damage boost threshold. And I'll fly to Fuchsia. Alright, so Koga's gym can be interesting. Hopefully I've counted correctly and we're actually at 50. If I'm at 51, I'll be a bit upset. Now pretty much every poke in this gym has Protect, so you can get stalled a lot, and you can lose a lot of time, so hopefully we don't see many Protects. Hey, I've got exactly 50, look, that worked out alright. Cool, so one trainer in this gym who has a Muck and A Beedrill who have some interesting movesets for sure. The Muck has Moonblast and the Beedrill has Outrage. So definitely some interesting move choices for those pokes. We don't actually ever get to see a move from the Beedrill because we just one-shot it, but should you choose the wrong move to use, you may see the Beedrill use Outrage. Expect this Muck is pretty bulky. If you get the special attack drop there, and there's a Protect. If you get the special attack drop, you do have to Psychic instead of Scald the Beedrill. And Psychic PP is pretty tight. We're already at -2, because I did use an extra earlier as well. And you only have 4 spare moves. We've already lost 3, so we've only got 1 PP to work with before we start having to use Hydro Pumps to make up for it. So there may be a trip to the center in the future if we do have to use too many moves due to Protect. Okay, dodge all the rest of the trainers in the gym. Now we get to see a lot of lag because there are so many particles in this room. It does get pretty laggy. Okay, so ideally here we would get self-destruct from this Wheezing. It would save us having to use a move on it to take it out. Heal off the poison because we don't want to be dealing with the not only the damage but the lag as well for the rest of the fight. Okay, a couple more things to get through. Hopefully we don't see Protect. And we got Protect. So that's 4 extra moves. We have exactly 4 to work with. So hopefully the Muck's nice to us and doesn't use Protect. Otherwise we'll have to start using Hydro Pumps to save PP, which is less than ideal. Alright, no Protect from the Muck, so we're fine for PP. We'll be cutting it close, but we'll get through everything and we'll have 0 PP left at the end. Except for Thunderbolts. We'll have a few of those left over, but Thunderbolt doesn't have a lot of use for the rest of the run. Alright, so now we have to go grab next secret technique. First we'll have to grab the gold teeth. Now, because the Safari Zone was removed in this game, they've kind of just replaced it with Jesse and James finding the gold teeth on the beach. And then we'll go hand this in to the Warden and get him to teach us Strong Push, which we'll use in Victory Road. Alright, so after this we'll be off to Giovanni's gym. There are some interesting and difficult fights in that gym, especially the the second fight in the gym. He has a Nidoking with Mega Horn that you have to Hydro Pump to kill, and if you miss Hydro Pump he will kill you with Mega Horn, so we will do a safety strat for that fight. We'll get out the second controller.
Just going to take another moment to remind people of the wonderful charity we are supporting here at Australian Speedrun Marathon 2019. Beyond Blue, which is making a difference in the lives of people in Australia affected by anxiety, depression and suicide. So every little bit helps, guys. And we're almost a quarter of the way, or maybe over a quarter of the way, to our donation total from last year's ASM. So let's keep pushing those donations through. Thank you.
Cool, keep it up, guys.
I am completely wrong about that. Not a quarter of the way, but $170 in the first run is really great. So let's keep that up.
All right, so just getting a bit of mindless mashing out of the way before we go on to the last gym here. Use a rappel so I can just run straight back up through the grass and not worrying about any encounters. Another cut scheme that we can't skip. All right, and we'll head on up to the gym. Okay, so one of the interesting things we, I guess, found out slowly since release was, I guess, the best way to go about this gym to skip the most trainers. So by talking to this guy at the start, we get to skip a trainer. And that's Hydro Pump being a great move. I'll just use Psychic instead. Okay, so the next fight is one where we'll play it a bit safe. So instead of Hydro Pumping here, we'll just use an X Special and Scald instead. Worst thing about using the last antidote there is it messed up the bag. But that fight is trivial with two controllers. It is slightly slower, but a lot safer. We fight this trainer who has a Graveler instead of the one below, who has a Sand Slash, because the Sand Slash can live, depending on Starmie's special attack and what sort of damage roll we get. Graveler just falls over, so. All right, and on to Giovanni. We'll save before this fight because this is one of those fights where if you get crit, there's nothing you can do about it, you just die. So we will have to set up an X defend because the lead Doug Trio has Earthquake, which hurts a lot. So we'll set up that X defend and then the next spec. Now the, I guess, bad thing with crits is they completely ignore any X items you have set up. So if we do get criticaled, the X defend will do nothing. So for our sake, hopefully we don't get crit. Crits in this game are 1 in 24, so they are quite unlikely. Whereas previous Pokemon games before Gen 7, it was 1 in 16. Slash though is 1 in 8 to crit, so luckily we didn't get crit there, although Slash would not have killed the HP we're at. Need to save 1 scored PP for the Marowak. And we can Psychic the rest. Actually, I might have to Hydro Pump the Marowak. That's fine. This Starmie is actually pretty good. The stats we started out with were mediocre, but we've picked up a lot of those awakening values in special attack, so it's got significantly better since we picked it up. That's it, 8 gyms down. We've just got a couple of rival fights, Victory Road and the Elite Four left. How are we looking for time? 2:53. We should get this in under estimate.
We've got an $11.31 donation from JT Magic Man, who says, "Good luck, Snorms, on the menus, and good luck to all the runners for the week."
Thanks, JT. Good to see you watching. All right, let's see how this fight goes. To be the last fight, we need a guard spec. This Pidgeot can be a bit annoying if it does crit. So hopefully, again, we don't get crit. Starmie wasn't quite fast enough to skip the X speed here. Alright, no crit. Good miss. So I've got our X specs set up. Now we just have to hit a Hydro Pump. So hopefully we can do that. I missed the first one, so we'll see if our luck turns. Oh, wrong way. That's what we have Revise for. I did save as well. This is gonna be interesting. I We might have to reset here. We will see. What are we going to do? Do we take a pedal dance is the question. Nope. Now you get to see how long it takes to reset in this game. It is really not quick. And the controller connects. Come on. All right, take two. Hopefully we get sand attack turn one this time. And I don't use the wrong move. There we go. One X-Spec, need one more. We need no crit from Pidgeot. Take three. 1 in 24. So this is, I guess, one of the worst things about getting to this point of the game in normal runs is, I guess, saving's not viable in normal runs for obvious reasons. But the worst, I guess, worst fights of the run all are right at the end. You've got basically 3 fights in the last 10 that can all kill you with crits. And there's nothing really you can do about it. Goodness. Okay, we made it through it this time. All right, well, I'll put him down this time. Now we just need to hit a Hydro Pump. Hey, cool. All right, Ravel's down. That took longer than it should have. Oh, we got through it. All right, and off to Victory Road we go. This is one of the interesting things that we've been, I guess, theory crafting that may be possible in terms of a badge skip. Now there's the final badge check for the Giovanni Badge right before the entrance to Victory Road is very close to the door. And we've had some clips of some runners getting a couple very, very, very close to the door entrance through, well, firstly it was accidental. One of the top runners in the category accidentally pressed A and talked to the ride poke right before the door, and there's a little acceleration, I guess, animation when you start walking from standing still. So here you'll see if you press A right before the door, before getting the badge check, the little wind-up animation will start, and you can get right in front of the door, but not quite. And if we could find a way to skip the 8th badge, it would save a good at least 10 minutes. Okay, so here's our last fight that we'll be doing with 2 controllers. There we go, we'll turn it on eventually. So this fight with 1 controller is pretty dangerous. The Kangaskhan has Crunch, which does over half Starmie's health, and also has Sucker Punch. So setting up on this fight is very risky. So with the addition of 2 controllers, it's made this a lot better. If you can hit Hydro Pump, that'd be great. There we go. That also is a range on the Kangaskhan, which makes this, I guess, even scarier. With 1 controller, because even if you do have a good enough Starmie to live 2 crunches and you hit Hydro Pump, the Kangaskhan still can live on 1 HP and then kill you with Sucker Punch anyway, which is a priority move. So we've got Super Saiyan Eevee on top of our head, who will push all these boulders for us. Almost out of PP, but we're about to get a free heal after this. So ideally we want to see no hypnosis here from this Hypno, otherwise it can waste a good bit of time. Headbutt's good. Now, when we first started the Starmie route, we were using a lot more candies to level up Starmie. If you do have a level 53 Starmie, that Hypno will more than likely die to Hydro Pump. But since we've cut out some of the candy pickups, it is a 2-shot. But overall, it does save time to skip the candies, because a couple of them do take about 30 seconds to get each. They don't really benefit enough to save that time back. Okay, so we'll see a cool little trainer skip that I can hopefully get in a sec. This trainer on the left here, we can't quite see them there, but we'll come back around that way and hopefully skip them. Okay, so we'll do a little bit of movement. We'll run into a corner over here to dismount the Rapidash. And then if we run just right, get underneath there. So that fight is actually pretty bad. It's really good we can actually skip that. Can be pretty dangerous. And we've seen a lot of runners in the community get the skip and then accidentally press down on the joystick and talk to that trainer, which is pretty comical. That trainer is referred to as Desposito because her name is Alexa. All right, that is the last hydro pump we will have to hit. Got the range and hit it, which is good. So one more trainer left in Victory Road after this, and then we'll be onto the Elite Four. So what's that, 6 fights left, just about. All right, now a lot of A pressing. This is pretty tedious, pushing this block all the way to the end. Now, a cool little, I guess, routing improvement that was found pretty close to when release, but at the start we were buying a bunch of 4 stores from the mart at the Elite Four, but instead since then we've decided to buy more Hyper Potions and Saffron, and then we pick up this one 4 store in Victory Road that basically lets us skip any shopping at all in the Elite Four, because there is one fight that you do need to have a 4 store for in the Elite Four, which is Agatha, because not only does she status you with Glare with her Arbok, she also has, the Arbok also has Crunch, which deals a pretty significant amount of damage. Power Whip Miss is very good. Means we can basically not have to heal until Agatha. Power Whip is actually deals a fair bit of damage. Would have it could have killed there with a critical. I think we can't just get back in with a revive though. That's it. Last trainer, Victory Road down. Just the Elite Four left. Okay, so first couple of fights in the Elite Four, pretty trivial. Lorelei, we just set up a couple of X-Specs. Thunderbolt pretty much everything on the fight. Move on. The Dugong lead, can't really do much to us. Bruno, we just set up the 1 X-Spec. And then Sweep with Psychic. Agatha, 2 turns of setup to set up an X-Speed and a X-Spec. We'll save for Agatha because it can be dangerous. Probably we'll save for Bruno just in case as well. It's very, very likely that Bruno leads with Stealth Rock, which doesn't deal any damage, because we have a second poke in our party. But there is a chance that it can Earthquake, and Earthquake critical may kill from the HP we're at, so we'll take it safe. Don't want to have to reset. So one thing I haven't talked about yet is how friendship works in this game. So as soon as you get to a certain friendship point, I believe it's 153 happiness or friendship, whenever you hit a super effective move or use a potion or anything like that, the poke kind of turns around to, I guess, thank you, or yeah, show how good it is if it's hitting super effective moves. And that generally starts around Agatha when that starts happening. The reason we also started cutting out rare candies is that increased happiness. So if we were using those extra rare candies, we were getting those turnarounds that cost about 2 seconds each at Lorelei. So it was actually costing us about 10 seconds just in animations. Last poke on Lorelei. Okay, so here we go with Bruno. So we'll set up our X-Spec. Hopefully we get Stealth Rock so we can stay at full HP for Agatha. And then we'll sweep with Psychic. Stealth Rock, perfect. So we're at full HP going to Agatha. And that's those turnarounds I'm talking about. So we've got a bit of extra happiness somewhere this run that's got our Starmie happy enough that it's turning around after each move now, which costs a little bit of time, but nothing we can really do about it. Now this is one of the specific fights as well that made the Kabutops route for this game a lot slower. Kabutops had a lot of issues dealing with, especially the Poliwrath on this fight. Didn't really have anything that even hit it for neutral damage, whereas Starmie kind of just has the one item to set up and then just one-shots everything. So this Starmie fight's it ends up being about a minute faster than Kabutops, which is one of the big reasons Starmie kind of excelled. And that's it, Bruno down. All right, so we've got 3 fights left. So hopefully we have no issues with Agatha here. If it does lead with Crunch, I might have to throw in the second controller. We shall see. Ideally we just get Glare first turn. That's what we've got the full restore for. Now one thing we haven't seen yet is the Power of Love. There is a chance that if you get statused, if your poke has a high enough happiness, that can just expel that status. If we get that turn 2 here, it will save us a bit of time. There we go, that's it. So the Power of Love broke through that paralysis there. which saves us a turn of using that for restore. So now we can just sweep the fight with Psychic. 4 left for 4 pokes. And after this we'll be using our first PP item of the run, so we can use Psychic on the rest of the fights. Now the next 2 fights we'll have to use X Special Defense on, because they are, the leads do a fair bit of damage. The Seadra on Lance has Hyper Beam, which if it crits does a lot of damage, and then the Pidgeot on Champ as well does hurt with Air Slash. So we'll be setting up X Sped Fs there so we can tank a couple of hits. All right, Agatha down, Lance and Champ to go. Interesting. Okay. So I didn't pick up the elixir. That's not good. I'll try and take as much health as we can here, because I should have, there we go, that'll do it. There we go. So we should have 10 Psychic PP here, but I don't. So we'll see how this goes. Should be fine for everything except the Dragonite, so we'll see if we live. All right, let's see what the Dragonite can do. So this is going to be a 2-shot. Normally we should be 1-shotting. That was close. But that's fine, we made it. All right, 1 fight to go. Let's see if we can do this. So the interesting thing about this fight is going to be the Vile Plume. I don't really have a way of dealing with it, so I'm just going to have to use a couple of special defends, I think. Alright, so probably going to do a little bit more setup than normal here. Alright, now we just need next speed and we should be good to go. And then we pray. Well, that worked out. Cool. Solar Beam works. How we're looking? 30 seconds. Last poke. And there we go, that's it. We have beat the game. Time will be in a sec. Oh, I'm glad we managed to get through that without that elixir. And time. A minute.